Hey there. I am waiting for Konsten to join me. And I'm actually just setting myself up here also on Facebook to see if we can do a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live at the same time. So we're just going to wait on Kim to start. And I'm going to get this all set up as I can. Ah, here she is. Here she is. Okay. So let's get you in here. Send your request. Yes. Wonderful. Ah. All right, we're waiting for you.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's like super morning here still.
Oh,
How are
how early is it
you?
there for you?
It's 7:15. It's not that
Okay.
bad.
Okay. That's early, but not
But
super.
still, I was like, yeah, my morning face will show up at the same.
It's 8:15 here p.m. and I see the moon is just outside my window. I'm like, oh, I love that. Just how perfect, right? I can just see it, and the sun hasn't completely set
Nice.
yet. But I'm trying to go live on Facebook at the same time, but Facebook is messing around.
Weird.
Have you
Yeah.
noticed? It's like,
No.
what is going on? I might just like abandon it and whatever. But
Take it.
yeah. Do you find you use Facebook Live very often, or is it mainly Instagram?
I'm mostly on Instagram, to be honest,
Yeah.
with an intention of doing more lives on Facebook as well. But yeah, it's the technicalities of like, I just want to go live everywhere at the same time, and
I
that doesn't
know.
always want to work,
It's true.
which is funny because the platform is owned by the same company.
I know. And well, and you know about platforms because you've worked with one recently.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm actually just gonna see here. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Story, post. If I go post and then I go, I'm not creating a room. It's very interesting. I did see it and then it wasn't going to support, like I had to open up Chrome. Anyway, doesn't matter. Looks like it's not wanting to
Yeah.
do it. I'm
Yeah.
fine. That's okay. I hadn't even planned. I'm like, oh, I should try that. It's all good. So
No worries.
you are in the capital city of Cambodia, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And for a geography lesson for everyone, because we're just getting started soon with school for everyone, what's the capital city of Cambodia?
It's a very difficult name. It's Phnom Penh with a lot of P's and H's and N's. Phnom Penh, and I probably don't pronounce it traditionally, locally Khmer, but Phnom Penh is there. So PP, people often will say double P
Right,
for
because
sure.
honestly, when I read it, I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't want to butcher the name,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
that's the thing. Like, I really love to honor the pronunciation of people's names. And, you know,
Same.
I have to say, I have like a little hidden pleasure of loving to try and guess people's nationalities when I meet them because I
Same.
love culture. And I mean, I'm not quite sure about you because we've talked and like you were born
Oh,
in Zimbabwe, but your parents
correct.
were from, like you're kind of a woman of the world. You're from everywhere. And I love that
Yeah.
about you because it's really informed on everything. And yet our roots they make us who we are. And so the other day, I was actually getting my son's haircut, and a lovely lady there who I've gotten to know recently. We were just chatting, and she's got a beautiful accent. I said, "Okay, so what part of France are you from?" Because I was like, "No, you're definitely not from Quebec in Canada. You're from France." She was actually, "I'm Polish." I'm like, it blew me away. I'm like, honestly, I've never been wrong. I've guessed
I've
a
never
lot of
been wrong.
Eastern European, particularly, I've guessed correctly. Like maybe I've just been lucky. I don't know. And then also some Asian cultures, which that's
Mm.
not easy to
I
do.
find that, yeah, I find that easier now, having traveled through a few countries, but still, it's like, where
Yeah.
are they from exactly? Because, of course, they're not. the Roman languages, the Latin languages, the Anglo-Saxon, our side of the world, I'd say, is easier to identify for me simply because I've studied those languages or lived in those countries more and more. This is the
Yeah.
first time I was actually sharing this with my mom. I haven't actually lived in an Asian country, but I'm like, well, that has changed now, all
It
of a sudden.
has. It has. Well, I don't know if you caught my Instagram stories earlier, but I said,
No, I was still
you
sleeping.
know, oh yeah, that's of course. That was, well, actually, it was when we were messaging earlier. I was on my morning walk and you were
Oh,
probably getting
okay,
ready
yeah,
for
yeah,
bed.
yeah. Mm,
And I was talking about how I wanted to connect up with you here on live. And I said, I don't even know where she is because I knew you'd be in the country of Cambodia, but who knows? It's not a tiny
yeah,
place. There's a lot of people there, a lot of places to go. And I
true.
said, you know, you had been happily stranded on an island at the beginning of quarantine and the global
Correct.
shutdown. And then as I was going back to just look over things for your podcast being published tomorrow,
Hmm.
our interview that we did on the Connect podcast, I I laughed because you did share about your initial moment of anxiety as you were like,
Yeah,
wow, this is really happening. And it is
yeah.
interesting looking back. I mean, I'm sure I could look back at posts on my social media with my initial responses of, you know, hey, let's
Mm,
pull together, we're going to get through this. I don't think any of us realized it would last so long, but you certainly didn't
no,
expect on your global travels to be on an island for 8 weeks. It was supposed to be 4 days.
exactly, not at all. It's, yeah, I remember like it was yesterday, the moment where I was having a chat to my mom and she's like, oh, come to Australia and quickly and get yourself organized. And wow, I just allowed that anxiety to get the better of me. And it took me literally 2 or 3 days to just like calm down and center and be like, does it make sense to go anywhere, not knowing if I can enter the country at the moment? It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
let's not do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And now, actually, so we're getting to this point where it's like, okay, what are we going to do? So now I feel like for me, there's like a reverse anxiety, which may be something totally new, a new concept, but like, are we going to go back to Europe or are we staying in Asia? What is the right choice? So we haven't made a decision yet, but we're like extending a month or 2 weeks by 2 weeks to
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, what are we going to do? And it's not just myself. There's friends of ours as well. They're like, oh, we bought a flight, but please, dear God, cancel the flights. I don't really want to go home. So
Right. Yeah.
there's all that kind of stuff going on now. Like, is it the right moment to go back to Europe where it's going to be winter soon? And maybe a second wave. And so it's like
Yeah.
really this intuition piece that we talked about
Oh,
a
yes.
lot is so important. So who
Mm-hmm.
knows? Maybe if we chat in a month, I'll be totally somewhere else.
I
Very
know.
likely.
Oh, because you had said when we spoke back in June, when we recorded the podcast
Mhm.
episode, you were thinking if borders opened up, you'd be heading to Japan next because you had initially been, I think you were going to go Cambodia to Australia, and then of
Mhm.
course everything stopped, so you couldn't. And you know, it's interesting because I just put up a, just a solo podcast yesterday, and it was
Mhm.
a very short one, and it was all about resistance and growing through resistance. And I'm thinking, wow, you're going to be able to write several books about this, and how, you
Sure.
know, initially to get yourselves ready to go on this global adventure, to quit your jobs, to really focus on your coaching practice, to really get creative and experience this time together. That was huge. And then to have a beautiful 3 months and then everything shut down. And I mean, I remember you telling me all of the beautiful lessons that you learned through that time.
Mm.
I'm sure there's been even more since then, and it'll continue to grow.
Yeah.
And I think, like you say, the intuition piece is so powerful because, you know, that's what's carrying you through. And even now, here you are using your intuition in different ways. And I'm hoping that for the vast majority of people who've taken this time to slow down, are trying to tap into their intuition in their everyday lives, if it even in their own little towns or their big cities where they currently live, making
Yeah,
space
absolutely.
for that. And so,
Yeah, because
yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
no, please.
No, I was going to say the intuition is something that can be used for the most minimal and the most like largest kind of choice from what am I going to drink today? Am I going to drink water or am I going to drink a juice? Or do I go to this country or that country? So like really there's such a large variation of choices for us to take. So yes, I believe it's fundamental and even more so going forward because, well, it's been like that since the day of age, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen over the next days, you know? So learning to trust that, or I think for many people, it's still learning to recognize that voice
Yes, absolutely.
first, because I remember, I might have shared this on the podcast, I don't remember. During my coaching diploma, it was like, oh, yeah, you'll be using your intuition when you coach people. And my reaction was like, well, how do you even do that? Like, what does that even mean? To, oh, okay, this is what it is. And still, it's like a further development of trusting that voice more because we will not always automatically take that intuitive choice because we have people and governments and
Right.
institutions and God knows what around us telling us, oh, this is the scientifically based choice for you today, whereas so much is being like revealed now that even scientific research is, of course, can be very biased or can be very much focused on one benefit. So
Mhm.
nothing beats your own tuition because we're all unique people. So what works for the masses may not work for you. I think that's really, really important for people to open up to more. Start with
Mhm.
not expecting that we're going to be using intuition 24/7, yet some small shifts can really make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And it can be in the tiniest things. Like you were saying, what do I want to
Mm.
eat or drink today? And with my work in cyclical self-care and in wellness, particularly with women, it's all about tuning into what does your body need at various times in the month, various times of the moon cycle. I'm looking at the moon, I was saying earlier, and sometimes you're going to need more rest. Sometimes you're going to need to be eating more dense, nutritionally dense foods. Sometimes you're going to be needing to eat lighter foods. Sometimes you're going to be needing to eat more fermented foods. And so as you're tuning into yourself, it is going with what your body needs and how you feel. And what's really interesting is um, I've had times where I've had just massive craving of, for instance, French fries or something. And I don't really eat fast food, but a few months ago, I was like, I need some French fries. And of course, here it is. Everything's closed. And I'm like, no, no, no. The frozen kind that you put in the oven, that's not going to work. Oh, my son just hopped on. He's waving hello.
Oh,
Welcome home,
hi.
honey. He must have just gotten home from soccer. Uh, and
Oh my God.
and so I'm like, no, I'm doing this. So I went to one of the local drive-throughs, the Canadian drive-through, and got some French fries. And I'm telling you, they were awesome. I mean, I had to wait because, drive-through, you're sitting there, nobody can go in anywhere. So people are like, I'm tired of cooking. And so I had them and I didn't feel any guilt because I thought, no, I need this. And then the very next day, I was just on with my regular path. And so intuitive eating is really powerful. I'm not saying like every time you have a craving for junk food, have it, but there are times where if it's calling you, yeah. And so I
Yeah,
realized too, obviously I was needing some other different types of foods that I needed to introduce into my
exactly.
menu. So that was really helpful to know. But I mean, your whole experience in traveling and with your partner. And it's so funny because I follow your Instagram feed for Alan and Annie. I always forget what your partner's first name is because it's not Alan. It's an inside joke. And you got to, everyone
No.
listen to the podcast that drops tomorrow. Connect with Sheila Botelho. I'm all about soul driven living, but the podcast is Connect with Sheila Botelho. And tomorrow's episode is with myself and Kim from back in June. And it's all about how travel unlocks your purpose because wow, we got some serious purpose things unlocked
Mm.
while you're over there. And I learned so much from you through that conversation. But one of the things was the inside story about where Alan and Annie came from. Those aren't your names. So what is his name?
Marco.
Marco. Okay, there you go. Couldn't be any more
I remember
different than
he texted me
Alan.
one day. He texted me one day, hey Annie, and I was like, I'm not Annie, but of course, yeah, it makes total sense. We just it came up. I'll tell the story again. It was we were thinking about, okay, we're gonna go traveling. Should we set up a blog? Should we do something? And they're like, oh, a blog is like might take a lot of time to write and
Yeah.
write up your blogs and stuff. So we said, oh, why don't we just do an Instagram account, which is fun with some photos, more visual, anyways. And then at one point, my partner texted me and he was like, "Hi, Annie," and I was like, "Who's Annie?" But because we use amor in Italian, like for each other, it was just a
Mm.
typo. So he wanted to type amor, but Annie came up. So I was like, who is Annie? Have you got something to share there with me? Obviously not.
Aw.
And then the same happened to me where where the iPhone changed amor to Alan. So we're like, boom, there we have it. Our incognito names for the podcast. And there was no Alan and Annie on Instagram yet. So we're like, that's it.
It works out.
It
Oh,
works out exactly.
so funny. So
So
is Marco Italian?
Italian is kind of like me, Italian German,
Okay. And so
up like a
if
mix.
you're, what are
Um,
you a mix of? Like, I know you were born in Zimbabwe, but what is your actual like ancestral heritage of your parents?
oh, well, ancestral heritage. If you go back, it's a mix of Dutch, German, Belgian, but by bloodline, I'm fully Dutch. But my mom was born in Australia, so I have double nationality, Dutch and Australian.
Oh, beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
that you could, if you can get into Australia, that wouldn't be a bad place to winter.
Well, but then when the government does not respond since March for
Yeah.
your partner's visa, it's like,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, right? Oh, it's
Because that
so,
that has been one of the options all along, but it's
yeah.
like, do we split up and go to different countries? It's like that has not
Oh,
been a choice so far. So
yeah.
yeah,
No, you don't want to do that.
no,
Are you both able to get back to Europe though?
we can get back to Europe. Yeah,
Okay. But yeah, it's like this whole, you uprooted yourself to do this. So it's kind of like waiting to see where is this adventure going to take you. Oh
yeah.
my
Next
goodness, it's so
week,
good.
like,
Oh,
yeah, we're waiting to see if any borders are opening, but Bali has already said until the end of the year they're not opening. Thailand has said the same,
mhm,
so we were hoping for Malaysia,
mhm.
but well, we trust that wherever we need to be, we will be, and that's
Yes.
it.
Are you going to be, and when you do, I hope you'll update your Alan and Annie account
Oh, of
as
course,
well
yeah.
as your Rua coaching account, because I think, people are going to be following both. I've got them
Yeah.
all put up in the show notes when this
Oh,
podcast
thank
episode
you.
releases tomorrow.
Thank you.
And I just
Awesome.
want to let everyone know we'll only be a few more minutes, then I'll let you get with your day.
Mm.
But in the episode where we're talking about how travel unlocks your purpose, we're going to be talking about how growing up in Africa shaped your life and your work, how to turn a lifelong dream into reality in spite of tragic events, how a health
Mhm.
issue can lead to uncovering newfound gifts, because that's what happened for you, and how being flexible when the world shuts down. Like, I think we've all learned that, but you've learned it in a different kind of way. And then
Yeah.
also how Akashic healing works, which was a real lesson for me because I kind of heard little bits and pieces about it before, but your analytical side from working with LinkedIn for those years and your other corporate
Mhm.
experiences, you're able to really describe it in such a way that was much more accessible for me, because certainly a lot of this, it's very soul, it's very ethereal,
Yeah.
so describing it can be challenging, but you're very good at describing things specifically and
Mhm.
succinctly. So that's what we're going to be talking, or what we did talk about, and people will get to hear the interview on Connect
So
with Sheila
excited.
Botelho. And I really invite everyone who's seeing this to make sure that when you take a listen to it, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. You can always, direct message me or send me something to my stories on Instagram. And also make sure that you rate and review the episodes, because then more people can hear them, because that's how iTunes, particularly on iTunes, it raises the visibility of the podcast episodes when people rate and review. So that's fabulous. I'm happy to be having some neat reviews coming through, even though the podcast is just like a week and a bit old. So you're my very first interview that
Oh,
is
wow, what an
on.
honor.
It's so exciting.
Thank you.
And I definitely want to have you back, because you're going to have so much more to
Absolutely.
share after this
Always,
time.
always.
Had
It's
you
an honor.
planned to travel for a year? Had that been your
Yeah, that was the idea for the whole year, maybe longer, but we had set out the 2020 as travel year. So
lovely?
we're almost there. It's almost September.
I know. And it was
Maybe
August of
just
last
November.
year that you decided. You said
Yeah,
yes, August of last year.
yeah, true.
Amazing.
Actually, about a year ago.
Amazing.
Hmm,
So what's up for
interesting.
you guys today in Cambodia? What are you going to be doing?
So I'm wearing my glitter dress because I'm celebrating this challenge that I started, a 7-day journaling challenge. So today is day 7, so I'll probably be, depending on the time, popping on my live within that group to share the last prompts and to just cheer everybody on for 7 days of journaling. I'm, as you said, my purpose is in a constant evolution. So I'm actually going to be a certified cacao ceremony leader. So I have a session at 8 from 8 till 10. So literally like half an hour. So I'm going to prepare my cup of cacao and
Great.
connect in with 20 other sisters from all over the world. So,
Wow.
and then I started working with some light language. So I have a light language session this afternoon. So like honestly, mind-blowing stuff is just un unfolding for me. So I have a lot of amazing things today.
Oh, I
Oh,
love it. Well, I will be thinking about you and I'll be watching to see. I'm sure you're going to be putting some stuff up on your Instagram stories
yes,
as
I
you're doing
will.
that. So
Yeah,
I'll be checking in with you on that as
amazing.
well. So all the best to you. Thanks so much for coming on
Yeah,
here impromptu like this. I appreciate it. And for
of
everyone, make sure you
course.
check out our interview that drops tomorrow, really, really early in the morning on Connect with Sheila Botelho, the brand new podcast. I am grateful for you and I wish you all the very best in your travels and in all of the wonderful work that you're doing in the world.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. Thank you for sharing this, your enthusiasm, your soul. It's beautiful. So I'm totally honored. And yes, well, I can't wait where we both will be when we connect again.
Yeah, that would be great to meet in person. Oh my goodness.
Oh, in person, even better. Yeah, let's
That
see
would be
where the world
awesome. You
evolves
never
to.
know. One day.
To
Awesome.
transportation up next.
Yeah. Well, have a fantastic time. Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
day.
You
We'll talk to you
too. Bye,
soon.
everybody. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for joining, everyone.